Welcome to the Health Revolution, the show that leads you to a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity through a sea of fads. We reveal the science behind the strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery, the keys to an enriched life. See inspiring interviews with the champions who've conquered life's challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest together. If you want to change the game, it all starts now. Welcome, everybody. You are watching the Health Revolution, and we're delighted that you are joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and no matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your tab of the screen, we've got a show episode note that's going to be referencing a whole lot of information about today's episode. And, I'm excited about today because, of course, we've just kicked off season 4. So glad that you're joining us. Today, we get to talk about what it means to build strength and self-belief holistically and all that implies. As you know, if you've been tuning into us, we do all things, the physical strength, that emotional resilience, and the mental mastery. So what happens as this trifecta comes together? I'm excited for our guest today. She is someone who comes with a wealth of knowledge and expertise and experience. Let's get to know her. First, take a look at this. Meet Alexandra Dotcheva. Born into a musician's family in Bulgaria, Alexandra's journey from violin virtuoso to registered nurse is nothing short of inspiring. After earning her doctorate in violin performance and performing with the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra, Alexandra pivoted during the 2008 financial crisis to pursue nursing, a career fueled by her passion for health and helping others. Recognized for excellence in cardiac nursing, Alexandra has practiced in ICU, orthopedic trauma, and home care, empowering patients to optimize their health. As a registered nurse, martial artist, real estate investor, and author of It Really Is Simple, a holistic approach to self-confidence, Alexandra combines her expertise in health, fitness, and personal growth to inspire others to embrace change, overcome fear, and pursue their dreams. Today, we'll learn how to unlock the secrets to holistic health and all that implies, gain control of our mindset, and take bold steps towards building a confident and fulfilling life for ourselves. Alexandra Dotcheva, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adriana. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I am so glad. I'm excited to talk to you. You definitely exude this level of confidence and someone who just walks in their own strength. Talk to us a little bit about your backstory. You wear a lot of different hats, being a violinist and then, of course, entering the health space. Where did that start? Where did your destiny begin with that mindset of being real clear with what you wanted for your health and your well-being?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. It started after I got tired of being very unconfident, lack of confidence, extremely untrusting in my abilities for more than 20 years. So it was at first quite a bit self-inflicted as a child and teenager, but then it transformed into a real stage fright as a performer. For quite a few years, it didn't do me any favors. I couldn't really battle that whole history of my stage anxiety when I wasn't able to deliver as fully as I was in the practice room, where I used to practice 9 hours a day for so many years. And like you said, when the financial crisis hit in 2008 in America, I couldn't keep my eyes closed shut anymore to the reality that I was not a competitive enough violinist, even though I had earned a bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree by then. And that was the time when I experienced my early midlife crisis. I was 32 years old, and I really, really hit rock bottom emotionally and professionally. And I told myself, now or never. You have the brain, you know how to learn, you know how to work a lot on yourself. So you just have to try something completely different. Start from scratch, erase the self deprecating mentality, and give yourself another chance if you don't want to have regrets 30 years from now. So that's when I embarked on the nursing career and put myself to nursing school, then entered the workforce as a nurse in 2011.
And did you always want to, when you first looked at your career and the switch that you were making at that time, did was health and wellness your calling? Was it something that you felt like, you know what, there's a stable career in this, and I know that I can be successful?
Somehow I always loved biology, especially animals as a child, but since I was in a specialized music school for 12 years, everything was really circling around music. We learned very, very little science, if at all. So I always felt I was missing tremendously on the scientific part in my knowledge. And again, I appreciated when I figured I wasn't competitive as a violinist, and I said, okay, I'm going to learn something that I always wanted to learn. And I should be able to do so because I have no bad history with bad performance with science and medicine. So I really started on a completely beginner's mindset. It's very important to have the beginner's mindset because the curiosity helps you overcome the fear of your ignorance at late age 32, when you have to be a classmate with people who are 18, 19, 20 years old with excellent science base because they went to real schools, not specialized schools. And the calling for the health profession was I really wanted to be useful to society because as a musician, I didn't feel that way for quite some time. And I also knew that very many people did not want to be nurses, which is why there was this massive nursing shortage in the States and elsewhere in the world. So I figured, okay, if I do a work that nobody wants to do pretty much, that needs to be a very hard job. And I have to come to terms with that. There's going to be sacrifice again, and a lot of I have to put my ego on the back seat because now I'm dealing with really sick people. I'm about to learn about real world, about real life, because as a musician, you're very shielded from the real world, in all honesty. And so it was that I wanted to see how people really lived outside of music, outside of arts. And then, of course, I learned way more than I bargained for because the unexpected aspects of a profession always hit when you immerse yourself into it. But the calling for health was also because of family members with massive chronic diseases that I didn't want to be like them. I wanted to set a different lifestyle for myself as an individual. And I thought that learning medicine would really give me that opportunity.
You know, you bring up you're from originally from Bulgaria, and you bring up that the family history of chronic diseases. I'm curious, what's your take on what life is like there versus, say, here in the United States? Do you recall the philosophy that families, people are to embrace all things, including their health, or do you find that looking back that it was similar to the struggles that we face here in the United States with our health, and that it's now becoming a priority to address?
Well, in Bulgaria, I mean, medicine was never as advanced as it is in the United States. We have some excellent specialists. We always have had excellent specialists and doctors who, most of them studied abroad and then came back to Bulgaria. The chronic disease is prevalent in Bulgaria, heart disease. Type 2 diabetes now is emerging more than ever because we really, after the Iron Wall fell, we wanted to copy America in so many ways, and that included also the predilection, the love for so-called snackability foods, craveability foods, which is really addictive foods that make you extremely sick because they're fast foods, because they're processed and they don't require the cooking process in the home, and they save time, but they really kill you gradually and make you dependent on medications. So it's becoming very similar to the States. Now, the shock in the States was that since you guys here have the most advanced medicine in the world, how come there is the sickest population in the developed world? That was something that took me a year or two to understand, especially when I also saw many healthcare professionals walking around with every disease known to man, teaching patients how to live healthier, which made absolutely no sense because, first of all, you have to own your own health to the fullest. You cannot be taking medications, maintaining, babysitting a disease with toys called medications. You have to be completely healthy and medication free to have the right to teach others how to be healthy, I think. If you want to be a
Yeah. And
professional medicator, it's a big learning curve, big learning
and
experience.
And I agree. I recall that once upon a time, years ago, I remember training a cardiologist, and he would tell me stories of at that time that, and this was probably back in 2010, 11, that the hospital in which he was at, that sometimes the type of foods that they would bring at meetings and would be like super processed, ultra decadent, very like the far cry from what healthy is. And he used to half-heartedly laugh that, yes, we're some of the unhealthiest bunches here. And I did think that comment stayed with me because I'm like, how can you be a cardiologist and then you're working on the heart, but then you're so unhealthy? But to your point, that it seems as though the irony behind it, that that the person of that profession maybe sometimes struggles with towing their own line within, personally speaking, with that profession. Would you say that you do see that consistently being a registered nurse?
It's a very consistent double standard, Adriana, as far as I'm concerned. And the cardiologist that you trained was right because I was learning in a hospital that was priding itself in being a specialized cardiac hospital. Yet, anytime we went to the cafeteria, they were serving soups loaded with sodium, while we were learning, oh, you have to limit sodium if you want to be heart healthy. So the hospital itself wasn't catering to its proclamation of being a cardiac hospital because it has to be in every aspect of this institution that they show that they care for people's heart health. Yet the basic thing, the cafeteria where patients' families were eating, where the personnel was eating, the students were eating, abided nothing by the standard. And that was the first shock that I saw, just like you're a trainee, the cardiologist.
And I look back and I think that there's as we're reflecting more on what is the origin of all of this, I can't help but look and pay attention to the food industry and the roles that they play, especially with the pressures that so many people have just to do things, take care of their schedules, excel at their profession, that sort of thing. What is your take on the food industry and their level of responsibility with where we are in society today?
The food industry is a big culprit in the fact that they are paying massive millions of dollars per year to these organizations such as the American Heart Association, the American Diabetic Association, the Cancer Society. They're paying money to these associations to place their extremely unhealthy food items on the healthy menus on their websites. And this is what truly creates poor education for the patients and families. Because if these associations' websites have the products that make you sick in the first place, but they recommend them as healthy food, then how can you teach the patients and help them understand what really makes them sick and what will bring them back to health? Because there are diets that are not associated with profitable chronic diseases. And there are diets that are highly associated with profitable chronic diseases. And I don't care what limited little amount of the unhealthy product you eat per day or per week, it's still just as unhealthy as it is if you eat more of it. So you might as well not eat it at all. But no, they have all these things on their websites. Animal products, butters, milks, all these loaded with hormones foods, and they never mention what drugs the animals are given that are sold in the grocery stores and how these drugs affect human health and child health from the very start of a child's life. These things are not discussed on these websites. The doctors don't discuss them. I've had tons of discussions with patients. Okay, listen, why is your doctor telling you to eat chicken but not the other things? Because the chickens, they're just as unhealthy as the other animals growing on these farms, even the organic grows, because they're grown next to the non-organic. Well, but he said the chicken is okay. That's the cardiologist, mind you. And I said, did he explain why you have to eat an animal loaded with antibiotics, antivirals, antifungals, and hormones, and full of infection and all that? I said, no, he didn't explain that. I said, does he know what the animals have that you're buying? Well, I don't know. The best of the conversations we have are constantly around the lack of education of patients, and they truly derive their knowledge from these association websites, which are professional medical association websites. So who would think that that's all a scam to keep you unhealthy for decades and decades on end and depend on medications for as long as you live?
You bring up a mic drop moment of who would think that it's a scam because of the credentials and that are behind the voices that are coming forth with that. And it begs me to ask you, as a registered nurse, well, let me back up a little bit. One of the things I loved when you and I first connected is, your level of confidence. You stand in your space, you stand in your experience, and there's this level of assurance in your voice, in the path that you're on and your mission. So how much of that was a struggle to use your voice in the clinical profession, where doctors oftentimes have that they struggle to use your voices, and then the pressures to, with either insurance or just clinical practice and maintaining overhead, all of that. How do you juggle all of that? What were some of the pressures you faced as you were using your voice more and more?
Well, at first in the hospital, when I was a new nurse, I didn't use my voice very much. I just wanted to determine for myself how I can distance myself from the lifestyle of my colleagues so that I gain more credibility in with the patients by not doing what my colleagues were doing. Because you see the patient who is chronically sick, who is trying to find every excuse for continuing to be chronically sick. And my father was one of those patients, sadly, till he passed away. But the patient always find a way to see the worst thing that a healthcare professional, and that including a doctor or a nurse, exhibits. And when a patient sees a nurse going on a smoke break or a doctor going on a smoke break, or they see them in their little break room, because the family members can see that the patients walking around the floor can see in the break room with doors open and closed what the nurses are eating, fast food, fried wings, and all that stuff. And they say, well, but you guys already did that. The doctor went on a smoking break. He smelled a smoke when he was talking to me. So why would I, change my lifestyle? They always find the absolute worst things to take as examples from the healthcare professionals. So the first 2 years in the hospitals, I had to truly distance myself from all this. I'm not going to be that type of healthcare professional. Absolutely not. Now, I could stop eating meat and poultry in 2000 when I was 24, but at 35, when I hit the nurse force, I wanted to become completely vegan. Then my boyfriend needed some time to adjust his mindset to that. So eventually we ditched all the animal products from our diets. But I transitioned to a work environment, home care, where I could actually have one-on-one time with the patient. I didn't have 5 call lights ringing at me on the hospital floor, trying to figure out who to service first, and never be able to completely cover the needs of my patients because it was crazy on the hospital floors. So I went into home care, which wasn't at first as highly paid as the hospital. That's why many people are reluctant to get out of the hospital. But I figured I would be more useful to people if I'm working with one person at a time. So we can actually have a conversation. Plus, in the homes, yes, you see every disease, just like you see in the hospital, but in the home, they're a little bit less acute. They're slightly on their better behavior because it's on their turf, it's on their terms. So you can really talk the patient into thinking some differently about their diet, their exercise. Hopefully, if you even get them to think about detox, great. That's very far-fetched with some patients, but eventually you'll see a person here and there that is willing to go beyond the diet and exercise norms. And it's just a way to work with people that you can listen to them and they can listen to you, that you have that hour just for the two of you, and maybe a family member that's willing to be supportive or needs to be educated on that. And that's how I've made it work in home care.
And one question before we go to break, I think that there's this uphill battle, especially in the health and wellness space, of combating what somebody knows mindset wise, that they've been conditioned all this time, or say X amount of time, to move a certain way, to consume, food items a certain way, or just to navigate through life a certain way. What has helped you get through the minds of those that you've been working with, to have that breakthrough moment of, okay, wait a minute, let me rethink this. My health is on the line.
Right. So my personal example, because everybody sees that I'm extremely physically fit. They see this at the moment I enter the door, and they're like, "Oh, you must work out a lot." So, well, yeah, I work out a lot because that's part of my professional presentation to you guys, so I can talk to you things. Then I tell them how my boyfriend fixed his health by going plant-based because he had some chronic issues that reversed in 4 months after we adopted the diet. And then the other thing that helps patients reconcile and rethink is you explain to them how 95% of the diseases are reversible. You demonstrate how they can do that. Okay. And help them understand that being an asset to the healthcare system is not helping them become healthier or have better quality of life. You have this conversation carefully with the patient. And now, if they're not willing to listen, I don't have the conversation. Okay. So you have to have some response and receptiveness on the other side. But if a patient is willing to listen, they can do wonders with their health because they've been through the mill, and this whole chronically sick mentality that they've been sustaining in the family members next to them as well. You have to reverse that mental process in the first place to be able to tackle the physical process in the body, because physical is easy. Physical can be reversed in 3 weeks, but mindset takes several months to a year to reverse.
And this is very good. I'm glad that we're covering this, especially for our viewers to tap into. We got a lot more to cover. First, we're going to take a break. Stay put.
So in the calm bag, it has GABA, theanine, and taurine. So theanine, which is B1, which is also in our B complex, but it also helps with the stress response levels. It also helps with the neurological transmitters in our brain. Combined with the GABA, and then you add taurine to it. Taurine is a non-essential amino acid in our body, but it's found in our heart, our brain, and our eyes. So in my personal opinion, it's very essential in our lives. But taurine has a calming effect as well. When I was battling all my AFib issues, I was taking high doses of taurine because that would help with my AFib. It would help with the palpitations I was having. And it also helped with the anxiety of having the palpitations because I knew what was going on. And so taurine helps a lot with that as well. So those three together create such a wonderful concoction that just really just calms people down.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
Quality time with our guest today, Alexandra Dotcheva. She is a registered nurse and an author of the book, It Really Is Simple, A Holistic Approach to Self-Confidence. And I definitely want to get into this. I know that we've got a lot more to cover. And before the break, Alexandra, you were talking about some of your points along the way where personally the decisions you were making were affecting how you were addressing patients so that you can help them really truly better prepare for their health and become healthier in so many different ways. You did say something that did strike my attention. You talked a little bit about detoxification. What is your personal definition of detoxification, and what are some important things that we need to consider as we're unhealthy and we need to get healthy? What would you say to that viewer who's like, well, I don't know how to detoxify my life. I know it's a little toxic. What would you say?
Oh, there are lots of ways to do it, of course. The detox is basically the cleansing of the body on the inside, just like we shower every day to cleanse our bodies on the outside. But the detox is everything just on the inside because you gotta clean your blood vessels, you have to clean your large intestine, your small intestine, your kidneys, your liver, of course. And the main thing with the diet, Adriana, is if you eat very healthy, whole food, organic, plant based, like my family does, it cleans your blood. And then the blood goes everywhere in the body and cleans everything else, right? Because it delivers nutrients to all the cells, tissues, organs, and systems. And then it takes away waste from all the cells, tissues, organs, and systems. So if you have clean blood that is unpoisoned by drugs, hormones, and fats that don't belong in your body and contaminants, then everything else thrives in your body. Other ways to detox, of course, you have oral detoxes, specified liver detoxes, you have kidney detox. I'm very big on colon detox in addition to liver detox every day. I detox every day, no compromises at all. That is a known issue for me because I know I'm exposed to 20,000 to 2 million toxins per day. So the only thing that makes sense to me personally is to detox daily. Okay. Some other members of my family do it 4 times a week due to schedules, but we don't do it like once a year or twice a year. This is what I do twice a year is I actually fast. I do a 72-hour water fast twice a year, but that's just an addition to my everything else that I do, right? So detox. Emotionally speaking, when you're in such a great physical shape, knowing that you've done so much for yourself of your own accord, that already automatically elevates your mood and your self-esteem and your confidence. But the emotional detoxification, I connect more to the spiritual aspect of my life, which is, the meditation and then inspiration for the mind. So there are two different aspects of detox when it comes to physical and then mental and emotional.
And I want to talk about your book. It really is simple, a holistic approach to self confidence. I have my copy here. I'm so glad I have my copy. And I wanted to ask what inspired you to write this?
It was questions from many people who knew me well and people who didn't know me very well. How did you accomplish everything you did? Especially my friends, because you said you had no confidence in yourself for so long. What turned everything? What turned your table? And how did that happen? And I said, well, when I became the investor and then started, expanding with my businesses and everything, I asked myself basically, what would have been the book that I would love to have read 15 years ago? And the scheme of the book immediately came into my brain. It took a minute to get the whole structure of the book, how I had done things the exact same way with my health, with my spirituality, with my career, with my finances, and with my relationships, because these are the 5 aspects of life that I tackle, and I also, discuss with my mentees, my clients as a coach, and it's the same principle across the board. And if you apply it faithfully and well and with integrity, it works, and you fix pretty much every aspect of your life. And to work on it for the rest of your life, of course. But the problems are everywhere. And when you start, you really can't tackle just a single problem. You have to address everything in these 5 aspects to really have control over your life and feel that you know what you're doing and that you're in the driver's seat and nobody's determining your life from now on.
And and I, as I'm going through, I'm fascinated by this book. I just because the details that I feel like I'm reading a conversation to me as I'm going through the book. And of course, I want to pull out a few excerpts. It's my favorite thing to do in just diving into a book on our show. You talk about, so I'm going into, I believe it's chapter 4, and you started to talk about the animal protein myth. I know that this could be a subject of debate for those who have a preference for animal or plant protein, but I wanted to get your take on this. You said the need to, and if I may read, the need to consume meat, eggs, cheese, and milk, as I have previously mentioned, has been marketed by the animal industry for over 7 decades. And then you go into a little bit more about even fewer consider that none of us can outrun or outwork a horse, outfight a gorilla, or out anything an elephant. These are the strongest animals on the planet. They only eat plants. how in the world do they get their protein? And then you talk about these mighty creatures, plants have survived millennia without protein, or plants, you said, these mighty creatures have survived millennia without protein from animal sources, and to this day remain the strongest animals on earth. The reason almost every plant contains protein, and plants are the natural producers of protein. Talk a little bit about that, and speak to the person who maybe is hesitant to consider plant-based protein. What would you say to them for that olive branch of considering this being plant protein being something to seriously consider?
So I have elaborated in chapter 4 further after you read that which are the high protein containing plants, and also many other plants with other nutritious properties. But plant protein is, to me, it's really great because it's not processed by an animal that then serves as a mediator. You're eating a corpse to get your protein. I mean, the plant food is just so rich in minerals and vitamins. It comes from good organic soil. It's truly what Mother Earth, gives to you. And my energy levels have increased tenfold since I became a whole food organic vegan 7 years ago. And as I pointed out earlier, I was a half vegetarian for 17 years before that. Because I was 24 years old, I started learning yoga for 7 years. I did yoga before I went into martial arts. So I wanted to be closer to that lifestyle. So I stopped eating poultry and meat, but I kept eating the eggs, the milk, the cheese, seafood, okay? Thinking that I was doing a good thing, until I realized that the contaminants in the animals don't magically disappear from their derivative products. And since the oceans are so contaminated with plastic, mercury, and then the Pacific Ocean with the radiation from the Fukushima plant disaster, right? It didn't make sense for me to eat or ocean fish, even ocean fish or wild caught fish, because the big fish that we eat are the top of the food chain. So they eat all the smaller animals that go towards the bottom of the ocean where the biggest contamination is. So it just didn't make any rational sense to continue eating that food, which used to be once upon a time extremely healthy seafood. Not anymore. You can't really find healthy animals so easily. And the farm-raised fish is just as compromised as the farm-raised animals with the drugs, because they grow them in this very tight confinement. As far as the plant-based, yes, plants are the only natural producers of protein. I don't think we at all need mediators as animals to deliver our protein. And like I said, the energy level spike for me was so drastic that there was really no going back. And then when I saw what happened with my boyfriend, who got rid of his prediabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol in a matter of 4 months, that was truly the understanding that this diet is not associated with any profitable chronic diseases. The other thing I want to point out to the listeners, if I may, is that I have been a nurse since 2011, so that's 14 years, soon to be, because it's 2025 now. I'm yet to have a whole food organic vegan patient. I have not had in 14 years a patient with a chronic disease who is a whole food organic vegan, and that is because we just don't get sick as readily as other people do, if we have integrity with the diet. So if we really bother to buy the organic, if we have a farmer's market that we trust, if we minimally cook the food and we don't use any added oils in our cooking, we stay healthy. Okay, I have not had a patient who is a whole food organic vegan for my entire nursing practice, which is, 14 years might not be a lot from the perspective of somebody who has been a nurse for 40 years. But I have asked other nurses much more experienced than me, including my boyfriend, who has been a nurse for over 30 years. He says, no, I don't have any whole food organic patients, vegan patients either, because we just don't get as sick as everybody else. All right. So, to me, that would be a huge wake-up point. Say, why not try that?
So I'm curious with your take with the type of farming that we have, and I think you bring up great points. I guess I'm trying to picture a realistic picture of a chronically vegan patient, and I'm a little hard pressed to picture that, honestly. In the case of how we have depleted our soils just across the planet, just the soil is different from where it was maybe half a century ago. What are some best practices for you to make sure that the food items that you're consuming are sound, that they have the organic background important, so that you know that you're eating elements that are nutrient rich versus those that have been compromised by soil.
Right. So you choose a farmer's market that you trust with excellent reputation. I immediately, for instance, noticed the taste, the different taste between the conventional fruits that I was eating before and the organic ones. It tastes completely differently. Many of the organic plants actually do taste very close to what my grandmother's vegetables from her organic garden when I was a kid, because everything was organic in Bulgaria at the time, when I was growing up, especially when your grandparents were growing it. But there is a difference in taste. You also have to yearly check your blood levels. Okay, so you check the basic chemistry, you check toxicity levels, heavy metal toxicity, you check hormones. If everything is working well, and if you're feeling amazing, and you're able to do 80 to 100 pull-ups like me, and the push-ups, pull-ups, dips, I do 100 of those per gym session. I'm going to be 49 in 2 months. Okay, so if you have the energy level like that, and you don't get tired, and you're completely healthy, chances are you're eating excellent food. If you don't get fatigued in the middle of the day and want to take a nap, right? So all these indicators, the way you feel, are very important. But I make sure once a year I check my blood levels, just to know that I'm on the right track.
I can only do 4 pull-ups at a time right now, but there's a time I could do 10. I'm working back to 10. I'll tell you that.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to lift your own body. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Agree, agree. One area of the book that really caught my attention, because we did talk about detoxification earlier, is on page 188. You did give reference and hold space to coffee enema. And if I may share with our viewers, you write here, there has been research showing the benefits of coffee enema as a liver detoxification method. The reason most people have never heard about it is simple. It isn't a profitable approach as far as big business of healthcare is concerned. And you'll see why later in the chapter. And then you go into it. Talk a little bit. You said later on down the paragraph, you mentioned a coffee enema is also an excellent solution for removal of parasites, bacteria, viruses, fungi such as candida from the intestines. Say a little bit about that, because of course I've heard about the concept of it. Never partook in it, but I'm curious, can you elaborate a little further as a method that you approve of?
I was just really fascinated by learning that a coffee enema truly increases the amount of glutathione the liver secretes by 650%. So that's a lot of glutathione. And glutathione is this complex antioxidant molecule that binds free radicals in the body, and then you excrete them with the enema, of course. Glutathione decreases with age, and like the immune system, it needs more support and more support and more attention if you want to stay healthy. Plus, the liver needs about 2 to 3 years now to regenerate itself completely because of the environmental pollution. So if you want to clean your liver completely and make it regrow itself, recreate itself, the liver is that organ that can regrow if it's damaged, but you need to give it the right fuel. So the whole food organic plant-based diet hits a lot of detox components in itself. It's much more easily digestible, so the toxins don't stay in you for 3 to 5 days. But when you do the enema, you clean everything every day. So what's residual in your colon, in your intestines, goes away right away, and it doesn't stay there to become decayed or cause toxins and retain the toxicity in the body. Many people take glutathione orally. Many of it is animal-based, and I don't want that. Some of it could be plant-based, but the problem with that is that when it goes through the digestive tract, it gets digested, so its potency decreases quite a bit. Whereas if you stimulate your liver to produce its own glutathione, its own resource, it's a much better quality healthcare, in my opinion. And again, when I started that, ironically, it was funny because when we decided to become healthy plant-based 7 years ago, we also started detoxing like that. So we drastically changed the food pattern, and when you detoxed, and the benefits were just immediately noticeable because you do so much all of a sudden, and then you stay consistent with that and you see consistent results. It's been really great. That's just one small thing that's about coffee enema, but there are many other benefits. The economical aspect of it is just unprecedented because between me and my husband, it takes let's say $65. The $65 including shipping, and that lasts us about 3.5 months between the two of us. So divide this by two people and then 3.5 months, how much per month each of us is technically paying. Okay. And then compare this to these fancy detox packages that cost $200, $300 a month, or even $100 a month per person. Or you go to some kind of a spa and they do a fancy detox package once a year or whatever, how often you go there to spend multiple thousands of dollars. There is no comparison for household economy, how this works. And it's truly, and we buy good quality coffee, which is a detox blend. It's a mild roast. It's from a company that's the Gerson Institute uses, the same company, Cafe Mom. So they have a great product. We've used it for 7 years. And truthfully, it's worked great for us economically and health-wise. So
That's incredible. We got more to cover. First, we're going to take a commercial break. We're coming right back. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you. Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. As we head into the new year, let's talk about creating a strong mental mindset to achieve your health goals. A healthy body starts with a healthy mind. Now first, set realistic and specific goals. Instead of saying, I want to get healthy, try, I'll walk 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Clear goals keeps you focused and motivated. Next, practice self-compassion. Change doesn't happen overnight, and setbacks are in fact normal. Focus on progress, not perfection, and celebrate small wins along the way. Visualization is a powerful tool. Picture yourself living your healthiest life, how you feel, move, and thrive. Now this helps keep your goals front and center. Surround yourself with positivity, whether it's supportive friends, uplifting podcasts, inspiring books. Fill your environment with things to keep you motivated. Finally, remember your why. Whether it's for your family, your energy, or your confidence, reconnecting with your purpose will keep you going. Start the new year with intention and a mindset that sets you up for success. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. Welcome back, everybody. We're spending some quality time today with our guest, Alexandra Dotcheva. She is a registered nurse and author of the book, It Really Is Simple, A Holistic Approach to Self-Confidence. And before the break, we were going into one of a multitude of points that your attention to detail, I must say, I absolutely love in the book. And I wanted to share, again, one area that you talk about, especially in chapter 6. Chapter 6 is the self-confidence building magic of exercise and fitness. Now you're getting my attention, of course. And, you mentioned here, there's one segment where you wrote, since so many occupations today involve sedentary activities, you have no choice but to commit to a steady exercise routine if you really want to stay away from deadly chronic diseases. And then you go into your personal experience of mental and physical approach to fitness and the training that you have. Talk about what you've seen as being in the medical space, the connection between exercise and why the tug of war to embrace the concept that exercise is good for us versus someone who's really struggling and they don't want to do it, so then therefore that they don't.
Yeah, I have gone into great lengths in that chapter to describe what it did to me, first with 12 years of martial arts experience and then my fitness experience once I hit the fitness like a mad person at age 41. But I also have described what exercise does for every body system, pretty much, especially emphasized the body systems that get most sick in America today, which is the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the endocrine system, gastrointestinal, neurological. You have all these disorders that are caused by stagnant blood and toxins and contaminants in the body that are not moving anywhere because of today's how do you say, conveniences, the car, the office, the chair, the bed, the couch, everything that people didn't have before. And I grew up in Bulgaria, so to go shopping we always had to walk at least a kilometer or two, which is close to a mile. 1.62 kilometers is a mile, and we always had to walk to shop. We rarely used any motor vehicles, and here all you use is a motor vehicle because there is not even a transportation system in most of the cities. It does affect everything in your life. And mostly your mindset and way of thinking of what is convenient and what is not convenient and what's acceptable in terms of spending time to promote motion in your body. It's a whole twisted situation here in the United States. And it's truly remarkable how you have so many fitness gyms at every corner, basically, and you don't see too many people exercise still. I mean, it's because most of my patients don't go to the gym. And of course, as a healthcare professional, I'm used to seeing mostly sick people. And there is this wicked assumption in my mind that, many people don't exercise. But truthfully, there could be so many more people taking advantage of these fitness businesses, and they're not. And it's unfortunate because it's so fun to make yourself do something that you don't want to do. It builds resilience, it builds confidence. And if you truly make yourself show up every time, especially when you don't want to show up, that'll help you in every other aspect of your life: work, career, finances, anything, your health, other aspects of your health, your relationships, because every change starts from us, and there are lots of things that we don't want to do on a daily basis or we don't feel like at some point or another. But if you can make yourself routinely do the things that you don't want to do, then you have much more grasp over the quality of your life, and you will be much better able to influence other people and convince them that they can do it too. And you're more credible because you do it yourself, but they have to see it as an example in you first if you want to qualify for any, trust on their part to give them advice and influence, especially if you're a parent influencing your children, or you're somebody who wants to influence their sick parents in a better way. See, I was halfway successful with my parents, for instance, because I couldn't scare my dad, but I managed to scare my mom. And she has been going to a physical therapist for the last 8 years, and he drills her, Adriana, like you won't believe. And she's going to be 75 this month, and she can do amazing things.
That's fantastic. And I subscribe to that, being the example so that you can lead by example. What would you say to so many nuggets here, so little time? What would you say to the person who was just diagnosed with a scary condition, even cancer, and they think, is it too late for me to really get on the ball? I get it and I want to do better. What would you say to them?
Never too late. You have to strengthen your immune system to make it peace so you can kill the cancer. So
Yeah,
you need to detox. You need to completely change your diet radically, 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 radically. No matter if you decide to go the traditional cancer treatment method or alternative methods, it doesn't matter. Your nutrition, your exercise habits, and your detox mindset will completely change if you want to help.
would you subscribe to the notion that sugar feeds cancer?
It depends. It depends on the cancer, and it depends on the sugar. Because if you're eating processed sugars, it feeds all sorts of things. But if you're eating natural sugars from organic fruit, then that's a great source of vitamins and minerals for you. That's good sugar. It really depends where it comes from. One of the most horrible things that doctors tell patients is that calories are calories no matter what, and that just cannot be further from the truth, Adriana. You know that, I know that. Depends where your food is coming from. Some sugar I don't count as food at all. Energy bars, granola bars, cereals, all this processed stuff, corn syrup, that's all sugar, but what is the quality of the sugar versus something that's coming from an organic plant that has tons of nutrients in addition to sugar. You cannot limit quality sugar because somebody told you sugar is bad in general. It also depends on how you use it, because say you decide to make yourself a Trojan horse recipe, which is a little bit of organic honey, but then you put baking soda in it and you dilute it with the proper amount of water to make your blood more alkaline and help yourself fight the cancer. Baking soda is a powerful thing against, but the sugar allows the the immune cells in the cell to open the cell to enter, right? The sugar for the cancer cells. And then the baking soda does its job. I mean, there's so many natural ways to fight cancer because, again, in chapter 4 that you started with, I have enumerated many plants that have natural chemicals that kill cancer cells. All right. And some of these plants contain sugar in them, but that's not bad sugar. It's not processed sugar. So there is a big difference.
Excellent. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We are coming right back. Stay right there. Welcome back, everybody. Today we've been talking about building strength and self-confidence holistically, spending some much needed time with our guest today, Alexandra Dotcheva. And Alexandra, where can we find you in the virtual space?
My website is holisticselfconfidence.com. The book is available there, the paperback, unfortunately, only in the United States through the website. But the ebook is available through the website, to Amazon, Smashwords, Apple Books, and Barnes & Noble. But the website is holisticselfconfidence.com. People can find my social links there, my blog. They can sign up for a coaching session if they wish. So all the information is on the website.
And then, of course, let's run through your social media handles. Where are you in the social media space?
In the Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube, and also on Rumble.
And we're running through the handles so that our viewers can see quickly here on Facebook. And then, of course, LinkedIn, you're easily searchable through your name. And then also, of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter. And then some of the handles are a little bit different. So for viewers who are on a specific platform, this is where they can find you. And then real quickly, one thing I want to mention about the book is that, you know, it's not only just to our viewers, it's not only about the holistic approach to health. You also talk about spiritual and financial satisfaction, obviously tapping into your history of being a real estate investor and being a part of the real estate world. Talk a little bit, we've got one moment left, the type of programs that you offer for those who are interested in connecting with you, what are they?
I offer a 12-week program, weekly meetings with the client, and then 1 year of free access to me through resource line anywhere we want to connect in any way. But we tackle all the 5 aspects of life: the health, the spirituality, career, finances, and relationships, because people have problems in all these areas. And I help them elevate all of these areas at the same time, so one step at a time, and build a holistic self-confidence that way. We never narrowly focus on just one aspect if we want to be holistic.
Alexandra Dotcheva, I love your approach and just the boldness and the confidence that you have. I could talk to you for forever. And thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Adriana. Appreciate it.
And we want to say a quick shout out to our sponsors, of course, for our program. We've got Biomed Mobile IV, we've got Dapper Mobile Apps, Launchpad, and Synergize Fitness. Thank you so much for supporting our show. And for those of you who are on the web, you can find us. Our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can email us with any show episode ideas you'd love for us to cover. In the corner of your screen is a QR code that you can grab as the crow flies. And then, of course, you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday on E360 TV. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We are thrilled that season 4 is starting, and the conversations that we're having like today are definitely ones we need to have. That is all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.